Secure some price for Wednesday, October 22nd, 2025. And we're a presentation of Bet365. We're coming to you from the Pacific Toyota Dealer Studio here at the historic Wall Center. Visit shoptoyota.ca or visit your local Pacific Toyota dealer today. I'm Matt. He's Blake. Mike and all his Junos, hitting switches.
Swimming in Junos.
Conducting things.
So, did you enjoy the game last night?
Yeah, it was fun first period. I'll say that. Forget it was Shorty or DT. Somebody said, entertaining 20 minutes of hockey.
Adam Foote thought they should be up 3-0 or 4-0 by the 10-minute
they had
mark.
some,
They had chances. I don't know that they were that high danger.
Yeah, that's might be a little generous, but I've told you before, I struggle with these 4 p.m. games in October when the sun is still out. A few weeks from now when it's dark at 4 p.m. or whatever that may be the case, I like those afternoon starts better.
And stuff is still happening. Just the world is still occurring. It's tough.
Yeah. And look, the other thing I'll say is I find myself watching these games and watching Sidney Crosby and wondering, okay, like, how many more times am I going to see him play the Canucks? How many? But then he just plays so well, and I think to myself, God, is he ageless? Is he going to play like into his mid-40s?
He and future Vancouver Canuck Evgeny Malkin both had points last night.
Yeah, they did. And one of them utterly dominated the Vancouver Canucks in the faceoff dot.
Yep.
He sure did.
The other guy, Malkin, though, 4 shots on goal. Like, for as much as I thought he was completely going to be washed this year, he's going to be mildly successful this year, it looks like.
I mean, we talked about it yesterday, a little bit of a renaissance there.
Yeah. Right now, at the very least.
For a future Hall of Famer.
Yeah. But they're staying above the bar, so they're not in the mood to wheel and deal just yet.
No, not just yet. Not just yet. Let's get to it. Our Redwoods Golf Course poll question. What was the biggest problem versus the Penguins? Missing players, goaltending, stars underperforming? You can vote at the Secure Some Price X and YouTube channels. Blake Price.
I think objectively the answer is missing players. I would have hoped, though, under these circumstances that the star players could raise their games. Now, I think you can read that star players option in a couple of different ways. The stars themselves can be held accountable for maybe not being as good as they could be, i.e. Quinn Hughes and Elias Pettersson most notably. But you can also read that as they're not given enough opportunity to perform, especially in the case of Elias Pettersson and his ice time and his deployment within that ice time as well. Is Adam Foote allowing Elias Pettersson the opportunity to perform at his utmost? So, but I think ultimately, as long as there's this many, the critical mass of players is this long, I think it's just missing players right now.
It is both missing players in terms of who wasn't in uniform and who was too often on the bench.
Right. There's another way to bring in the ice time thing is missing on the ice.
Missing from the playing surface. Available, just missing.
Yeah.
For reasons that are unclear, and of course with independent media not traveling anymore, you don't tend to get these questions of the head coach in the aftermath of the hockey game. Maybe they'll be asked today after the Canucks are finished practicing in Nashville, but that was a real head-scratcher from Adam Foote and his rookie head coach and his reasonably underexperienced NHL staff. We will dig into this in a moment, but first, I want to give everybody a chance to hear from the head coach. Adam Foote thought it was a very good start for the team, as aforementioned, and then they just faded. Here's Coach.
We could have been up 3 or 4 nothing in the first 10 minutes. when it didn't happen. And then, you know, I think you run out a little bit of gas, you put yourself in a situation where you take some penalties you probably most likely wouldn't take if, you know, that last schedule of 3 games, it seems like just before the penalties, guys may have not held up or maybe didn't move their feet, just a little bit of details that lead to penalties. And, you know, they were penalties. So when that happens and you give them, you know, 5 power plays, they got 2 goals. So, I mean, a lot of good things early, and, you know, it looked like we just ran out a little bit of a gas.
And that can happen, I suppose, in the 4th game in 7 nights, 6 nights, whatever it is.
Yep.
But they did just come off a couple days off.
Yeah.
You know.
He also said post-game last night he didn't think the Canucks were chasing the game. He said he thought that was unfair, that he thought that Pittsburgh was chasing them early. Okay. He said they were shooting too high. They are not giving forwards an opportunity to tip pucks or keep sequences alive. The other thing that we should, power play went 0 for 3 last night. Penalty kill gave up 2 goals. So it is difficult to win when you're -2 on the specialty team, as our French Canadians friends say.
Yeah. Not an ideal night in a lot of ways, and it got worse as the clock went down.
Yeah, absolutely. Our friends at the Redwoods Golf Course, well, they specialize in hosting your custom corporate event, whether that's team building, networking, what have you. Packages can include golf lessons if you're so inclined, plus food and beverage after the fact. And we've been telling you about these junior golf lessons for children ages 6 to 16. Set your child up for the sport of a lifetime. It is a sport of honor. It teaches great life lessons. And there are private and semi-private junior lessons available and flexible to your schedule. We've done some work with their PGA of Canada teaching professional, Craig, who's got a marvelous manner. Check those out. We'll be telling you about winter lessons, and you're sitting there going, golf, my gosh, Matt, have you seen the forecast? They have a heated and covered driving range. So this is the place to work on your game during the nasty weather.
The ugly months.
Let's face it. Look at Friday's forecast. It looks just dreadful. But you can bring your sticks to Redwoods, get in one of those heated, covered boxes on the driving range, and hit balls till your heart's content.
You might as well be in California.
Redwoods-golf.com/instruction. Top story brought to you, Yellow Dog Neighborhood Foolish Winery. Missing, both from the lineup and in action, as we just outlined. Canucks fall 5-1 in Pittsburgh, -5 regulars, 4 forwards, and with rookie head coach Adam Foote bizarrely not shortening his bench. The new buzz phrase in the NHL is you want to lengthen that lineup, have good players on all 4 lines, right? So you're not as difficult to match up against.
And if you're,
of course, you're familiar with shortening the bench when you're down a goal or when you have players in uniform who just really aren't up to muster, up to snuff, and so you've got to lean on. That did not happen last night.
If they were fully healthy, I could accept the
yes,
the lengthening bench thing. Not that this team is still comparatively deep compared to the rest of the league, but when fully healthy, I could understand the desire to roll.
If Besser and Bluger and Lekramacky are playing last night, Hedel, completely get it. But they weren't.
You got 5
That's a top
AHL
6 winger.
players.
Yeah, it's a top 6 winger, a guy you hope is a top 6 winger, your second line center, and your third or fourth line center. And yet still, Elias Pettersson, the only bona fide credentialed NHL centerman in uniform last night, plays just 9 minutes and 41 seconds of even strength time. Aatu Ratu, who's developing into an NHL center, has a bright future, played 15-21 of even strength hockey.
Yeah.
Nearly 6 minutes more than Elias Pettersson. Max Sasson who did not make this hockey club out of training camp, had to be called up after an injury. He played 10-22. Nils Oman, of all people, who was the player recalled to patch the dam after Hedel and Bluger got hurt, played 10-32, 50 seconds more than Elias at even strength. Even when special teams are accounted for, because, of course, Elias is killing penalties, he's on the power play, 4 forwards played more than he did. Connor Garland, Kiefer Sherwood, Atu Ratu, and Evander Kane.
Yeah, 1656 is not what you pay.
11.6 million.
Yeah, just doesn't match. If people remember back in the day, and it goes over a couple of coaches. Well, not really. It's mostly Lambino because Willie didn't do this, but
Willie did not do that.
Offensive zone faceoff.
Travis
Sedins.
Travis was good at that, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Offensive zone, Sedins. Matchup he likes, Sedins.
Yeah.
Just cuz, Sedins.
Sedins. Yeah.
Because they were the best players on the ice.
Let me just put this out here. Might it be a conditioning thing? Because we know that Hank and Danny were in the best shape of just about anyone in the Vancouver Canucks, and Alex Burrows gave no quarter there. I'm just thinking aloud here, Blake, because it otherwise does not make sense. Like, this is not NHL coaching. This is not NHL deployment. There are tons of people who work in an NHL organization who crunch data and can tell you, can help the head coach and his staff, and again, this is a very inexperienced NHL staff, who can help you with some of these decisions with the overall strategy and tactics of deployment.
Flying the ointment there is average shift length. Only Connor Garland stays out for longer than Elias Pettersson. If he's gassed and can't do it, he would be coming off, I would think.
But it's not just Pettersson, folks, before you think we're just picking on Adam Foote with regards to Elias Pettersson, who, let's face it, still hasn't been great here. Jake DeBrusk played even less. Jake DeBrusk played less than 14 minutes total. He plays a paltry 7.5 minutes at even strength, Blake. Lowest on the team.
And
Jake DeBrusk,
days removed from his career high in shots and shot attempts. He has one shot attempt. It did arrive on goal, but that's it. I mean, he's getting Braden Coots kind of.
There you go. Jake DeBrusk is one of what? How many guys on the team have 20-goal seasons on their resume?
In the lineup, it's
DeBrusk, Petey.
Is that it? 'Cause I don't think Garland's got there, right? Is Connor Garland?
Garland has one. He's got 20 goals. Remember, he scored that hat trick at the end of the season a few years ago to get to 20.
And then Evander Kane.
Yeah.
So 4 guys. But only just. And you're like.
Well, only just. And, of course, DeBrusk led your team with 28 goals last year.
He's your reigning goal-scoring leader. And you're barely throwing 7.5 minutes of even strength.
7.5. It's just staggering, Blake. Like it looks like a fourth liner.
Yeah.
This is a guy you signed a 7-year free agent contract with. And look, if they were horse shit in the first period and the head coach wanted to say, fuck these guys, they ain't playing, I'm sending a message tonight, fair enough. Jimmy Snuggerud, the St. Louis Blues rookie who was so good against the Canucks on Thanksgiving Day, barely played last night.
Mm-hmm.
Montgomery, the coach, said didn't think he was skating, didn't think he was checking, so time to take a seat, son. Pettersson set up Connor Garland on that opening goal. A lovely little pass through the neutral zone. Like, it's kind of like what Blake has always said about the discipline scratch, the healthy scratch. You can go down that road as a head coach, but understand when you do that to a good player, like a guy who's clearly amongst your 12 best forwards or 6 best defensemen, you are diminishing your team's chances of victory.
You're only hurting yourself, most likely.
Playing the long game, okay? I hope to get this guy's attention so that 2 games from now, 3 games from now, 4 games from now, he's a whole lot better, and we will sacrifice him not being in the lineup tonight and diminishing our chances for that benefit. It kind of is the same thing when you're just sitting your best players shift after shift. And especially when you're doing so to trot out guys who, let's face it, would not be NHL players if you had a fully healthy lineup. Petey and Garland are starting many shifts in the defensive zone. And they also aren't playing a whole lot with Quinn Hughes and Philip Hronek. And this is something else that, you know, as the analytical dives have gotten deeper into this sport over the last 10 to 15 years, one of the things that we look at is how often are your best forwards playing with your best defensemen. We have often done this in the context of Cale Makar with the Colorado Avalanche and the juxtaposition who's better, who's best with Quinn Hughes in terms of Norris Trophy voting top defenseman in the world. Because Cale Makar plays with Nathan MacKinnon a fair bit, and when he does, he's extraordinary. Mm-hmm. And so is Nathan MacKinnon. It's a symbiotic relationship. They make each other better. And that is something else that has been missing with Adam Foote and it's just 7 games into his NHL coaching career. We talked about there would be a learning curve with this coach and his relatively inexperienced staff. Completely understand that he is going to make some mistakes along the way. Nobody is perfect. But that is something that he hasn't done a whole lot through the first 4 games or through the first 7 games either. Blake, is play your best 4 or best 5, because you know, sometimes we talk about forward duos. 2 guys stay together routinely and a third guy rotates in. But either play your top line with your top pair or play your best forward duo with your top pair, and we haven't seen that a lot either. In fact, through 7 games, Elias is the 237th most used forward in the NHL at even strength. He is behind guys like Justin Sourdif, a former Vancouver Giant who's just getting his NHL career started with the Washington Capitals. We saw him Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, and he's not getting the zone starts, and I got into that with a few people on Twitter last night.
You were spicy on Twitter last night.
But, you know, okay, 2 things can be true at the same time. Adam Foote should definitely be propping up Elias Pettersson to the nth degree and giving him the best opportunity to affect this team.
And Blake,
there's no question about that.
I sure hope.
But
because Adam Foote was an irregular hire, there were 31 other NHL teams who would not have even considered Adam Foote as a head coaching candidate. He is very much Jim Rutherford and Patrick Alvin's boy. And I sure hope that one, if not both of those gentlemen, can go to him here after a game like this and say, okay, Adam, we need to understand why this happened. We're here to help you as a resource because we have all these people who are looking at data and tracking player fatigue and what. More on this with Patrick Johnston later in the show, whereby we think we can get more out of the 12 forwards than we got last night based on the way they were used. And like that should be a constructive criticism conversation with a rookie head coach who hasn't done this before from an uber veteran NHL manager in Rutherford and a guy who's been around the block a little bit now in Alvin as well.
Finishing my thought. Yes, he should be propped up and given every benefit to succeed here. But I think we can also say, wouldn't it be nice if Elias Pettersson, the guy that wowed us as a youngster and reached 100 points, could battle through the assignment that he's been given and still be successful? Like, there are players that are getting shorter shrift than him in the National Hockey League that are outperforming him, including JT Miller. Including, and I'm talking about deployment, not so much ice time in and of itself. Will Smith, Wyatt Johnson, like guys that aren't Bo Horvat. They get started in the defensive zone way more than Elias Pettersson does. They still find their way to get onto the stat sheet and affect change for the team. So I think both things can be true. Adam Foote's got to pull out all the stops here because he doesn't have many other options to score
he doesn't.
multiple goals and get multiple points per night. But I would sure love Elias Pettersson to show how special he is.
Elias Pettersson at even strength this year is averaging 2.68 shots per 60. This from our old friend Noah Strang. It would be a career low by a mile. The previous low was 4.46. He's averaging 7.45 shot attempts per 60, which would also be a career low. 9.12 is the previous low in an injured season. Look, he's got to find his own shot more. He also needs a coach that understands more and advantageous deployment. I heard Saravelli with Huff and Bruff this morning say a refusal to look inward, that this is what troubles Elias Pettersson. Do you think it's possible just the league got better? He went through some injuries, the trappings of celebrity, the trappings of money, and he's just done working. He doesn't want to look inward and say, yeah, I got to do this, this, and that. And you know what? That's going to be hard. And nah.
I don't know about trappings of money and fame. I don't think that's it in and of itself.
But we heard several years ago how immature that team was.
Yeah.
They'd win a few teams. They'd walk around town like they're the cock of the walk. It's like you haven't, like that was talking of having to break them down. So you haven't accomplished anything yet.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked for a brief period.
I do think it's a lot easier to surprise people early in one's career than to maintain it and be really good for years to come. But, generally, guys that have reached his heights are able to flirt with those heights again. Like, it generally doesn't just disappear. Like, there's guys that underperform. Like, I think of a guy like Dylan Larkin who gets to 73 points in 18-19. And then scuffles the year after that, 23 points in 44 games. But it's got back up to a 70-point plateau. But to go to 90 and 100 points and then struggle to find it again, that's a really short list of players.
Yeah.
And that's why people
bizarre.
And that's why people have said it's going to come back. Because, again, find the 90 and 100-point players that all of a sudden just aren't in the prime of their career. Like, this is not a 30-year-old. It should be there. Anyway, they have to meet in the middle. I think Pettersson needs to be better. I think Foote needs to give him the opportunity to be better.
I agree.
Because
Jonathan
it has to work.
Jonathan Cheechoo.
Well, he was a trigger man, though. He wasn't
56 goals, 93 points. 69 points the next year. Okay. Then 46 points. 59 points, 20 points out of the league.
Yeah.
Please tell me we're not watching a Cheechoo.
No. Jonathan Cheechoo was the beneficiary of other players around him.
Yeah.
Good trigger man.
What else was I going to say here? Oh, yes. Then there was the faceoff circle as we craved the stats presented by Uber Eats. Pettersson won 5 draws, lost 17. The Canucks as a team got crushed in the faceoff circle. They won 19, they lost 39.
And you know what? We don't often talk faceoffs on this show because as long as you are near the 50% mark, you're probably just fine.
Yeah, it's not going to have that big a swing on the game unless you're talking about those scenarios where it's a clean draw, one in the offensive zone, to the point, on goal, instant goal, right?
Or penalty kill, quick clear. Those are big faceoff.
Every faceoff is counted the same. Every faceoff should not really be weighted the same, if you will. Sydney was 8-1 head-to-head with Pettersson. The Canucks won just 2 of the 10 draws on the power play. Pettersson lost all 5 faceoffs to Crosby when the Canucks were penalty killing.
Max Sasson has been thrust into the centerman role. He wins 1 faceoff out of 8. Aatu Ratu did okay, kept his head above water.
He's an excellent face-off man, Aatu Ratu.
And it might just have to be the case that he is the guy that takes the defensive zone draws and hopes to win those, and the Canucks can get out of their own zone. But when it gets this bad as it does last night, it has to have an effect. It means you are likely starting with the puck less than you want to be. At 47% on a night where you lose, but it's 40%, you're probably just fine. You're probably treading water, and it's neither here nor there. But when it gets that low for the Vancouver Canucks, as it did, you are probably at a disadvantage to the opposition in terms of how many times you get the opportunity to have the puck. 33% winning percentage.
And we invite your comments on all of this. For those of you watching on YouTube, that super chat button is always available to you. Hit it, make your donation. Partial proceeds to the BC Mental Health Foundation will get you on the program. Want to know where you're at on Elias Pettersson right now, where you are on the head coach and his deployment. Not just last night, but over the course of these 7 games. We're going to hear from Elias in a second. But first,
crave the stats, crave the nuggets. How about that? Every time the Canucks are playing at home, you can buy one, get one on a 6-piece chicken McNuggets from McDonald's in Vancouver, only on Uber Eats. Exclusive game day specials, folks. Don't want to miss out on Uber Eats assisting every fan's hockey experience all season long.
Oh, the chat is a fun place sometimes. Creative people. New nicknames proposed. EP40. Jake DeBust.
Oh, my gosh.
We're too early, folks. We're too early for that. It is amusing, but we're too early for that. Let's hear from Pettersson, because here's the other thing. And this is why I think people like Frank make those sorts of comments. Because when confronted with some of this material, Elias will speak to it and acknowledge it. But then you wonder, is there any action that follows that up? Or does he just want to get the media off his back as dismissively as possible and then move on about his day without actually tackling the issue? Here's Pettersson on getting absolutely owned in the faceoff dot last night.
Well, it starts with me. If I win, if I win more draws, we start with the puck. I think I don't even know, 1 for 5. That's not good enough. We keep having to break the puck in instead of starting with the puck and defense on this one. But when we get to shot opportunities, the thing starts with me winning the draw and start from there.
And that is awesome ownership and accountability from Elias. It is absolutely what you want to hear, but there does have to be follow-up. Like the next game against Pittsburgh and Sydney, I want to see him do the same to Sydney, right?
Well,
like, understand, this guy owned me in the dot, and it actually did. That was a night where losing faceoffs actually came back to haunt on the scoreboard. It wasn't just a peripheral stat. Okay, I'll show him. That's the best player of my generation, of the last several generations. That's a challenge, that the fiercest competitors, the champions, want to meet.
I understand this is not customary, but the Canucks have a faceoff specialist at arm's reach in Abbotsford. And it's not often the AHL coach comes and visits the NHL team.
Right, Manny.
But in this case, Manny Malhotra coming in for a clinic. And again, these are special circumstances, not just Elias Pettersson struggling in the dot. But, you're playing Max Sasson, who is not a with-a-bullet center. He's played a lot of wing here in recent years. He is not tried and true every minute of his career down the middle. These are guys that could probably do for a little refresher. And you know what? We talked about those 6 kilos till our ears bled in the preseason. The extra weight should absolutely help on a faceoff.
Absolutely.
Like that's one of those key spots where a little extra oomph,
right,
is really handy.
And it's more than just your center iceman too, right? Like winger wins are a thing where it is not immediately clear who is going to possess that puck, and how your wingers play those seconds matters too.
Evander Kane was 2-0 in the faceoff circle, I think. Oh, no, he was 0 for 1, pardon me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, wingers get called in too. Honestly, all hands on deck. Everybody try it. Everybody in there.
I was going to, I don't want to get too deep into this because, I think it's something I want to, well, number one, the sample isn't quite big enough yet. And that's really a caveat across a lot of what we're talking about here. 7 games. I always say to Blake, give me 8 to 10 game chunks. And so we're only 7 games. But Evander without a goal has 3 points. And I don't know about you, like I'm not seeing a guy who helps you as much as Pius Suter.
No.
And particularly given where you are at center ice right now, wow, that decision from Canucks management this summer is instantly, what's the opposite of paying dividends? It's that.
I think he has added something to this team. I think he is physical. I mean,
yeah, there's a physical.
He had 7 shot attempts last night, 3 on goal. Mm-hmm. I did notice him last night.
Yep.
My biggest problem has always been, and now this is going to rear its head even more, was the acceptance of all of his salary. Like if the Canucks are paying him only 3.5 under the cap, wouldn't that extra $2 million in space come in handy for now the emergency response to Filipino going down?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe there was a have your cake and eat it too scenario where you've got Pius Suter and Evander Kane. If you get retention, that's an option. And who knows if you could have paid more to get retention? Probably not for an Oilers team that's, all hands on deck here for a Stanley Cup, but it hurts.
They apparently had 3 suitors at the end. So
yeah.
What's up with Yellow Dog this week?
Well, they've gone into fresh hop season as Yellow Dog. Told you about their brand new beer for this week. They've been releasing them weekly, but last week's is still fresh on the shelf as well, and that is the New Tricks Fresh Hop Hazy IPA. Vibrant mosaic hops, rounded out with hints of Simcoe and Citra for layers of juicy, resinous goodness. Resinous goodness.
Mm-hmm.
New Tricks Fresh Hop Hazy IPA.
Then there is the captain, Quinn Hughes. He's got 5 points in 7 games. He's a -2. He's playing 26 minutes and 15 seconds per game. He's got 16 shots on goal for power play points. But I think it is fair to say that we haven't seen the best from the captain through 7 games. Usually in a 7-game sample for Quinn Hughes, you have at least one, if not a couple of just all-world nights where he's the best player on the ice. Right?
Yep.
Besser misses the 2nd game last night, tending to that family matter. The club is hoping he can return to play in Nashville tomorrow, but he was not at skate today in Music City. Neither was Teddy Bluger nor Philip Hronek. Has there been any further reporting on Philip Hronek's absence that I may have missed here since we started live, Blake?
Maintenance day for Hronek is the company line that was given to Dan Murphy. The club is hopeful Brock Besser will be back to play versus Nashville, says Mr. Murph.
Well, and they have used maintenance day as a euphemism for he's hurt in the past.
Yeah, we can't take that at any value because Derek Forbert was on a maintenance day and hasn't played. We haven't seen him since.
J-Pat seemed to think Tom Villander would make his NHL debut tomorrow regardless.
Right.
In place of Pierre-Olivier Joseph, who made his Canucks debut last night in his season debut. But needless to say, if Hronek can't play, then Villander is playing, period.
Yeah, I think that, and given Pierre-Olivier Joseph is not exactly a world beater, all due respect, I think a rotation is probably fine at this point. I mean, is Pierre-Olivier Joseph better than Tom Villander? Probably not. He's more experienced, more savvy.
Yep.
But I would like to see Villander. He's here.
I think so.
Might as well use him.
I think so. Yep. As for Philip Hedl, visited doctors this week. If this is a 6th or 7th career known concussion, it's a further complication this year than it would have been in previous seasons, folks, because with these new LTIR rules, the Vancouver Canucks would have to declare him out for the season and the playoffs if they want to use the entirety of his $4.43 $7 million salary.
Not worth it now because you still get 3.8 not declaring him. So it's only a difference of
$500,000.
So you owe it to yourself to not do that.
So you're going to play that out, and that probably means that you're not going to hear a lot of specifics from the Vancouver Canucks on the nature or severity of Philip Heedle's injury.
But this is the fundamental question. Assuming concussion, and I think it's a fair assumption based on what we have seen.
Based on his reaction.
Yeah. Like, how many is too many? Like, just if it's just a concussion, we generally go through this thing, he'll be out for at least a couple of weeks. They'll monitor him. But when it gets to this, 6 or 7 career concussions, like when does the player? I mean,
when does the player's family? Yeah, that's the other.
And when does there's maybe a point where even the team steps in. We saw Mike Gillis have a crisis of conscience when it came to Manny Malhotra.
Didn't think he could see out there out of that injured eye, and went to Manny and just said, Manny, like, you are imperiling yourself.
Yeah.
And we have a responsibility at some point to not put an imperiled player out there. The same, I'd
be surprised.
Absolutely applied.
I'd be surprised if that happened. But there's eventually a point where even a team might have to say that, isn't there?
I think so.
I don't know.
I think so. Rick Dhaliwal reporting going to be a couple of weeks for Jonathan Lekkerimäki. Okay, let's get to some good news.
Okay.
Or at least a story that I think everybody can get behind. Joseph LaBate, and just wait until you hear what his nickname was with the Belleville Senators a number of years ago when Frank Corrado joins the show. Frank, also a member of the 2011 Vancouver Canucks draft class with Joseph LaBate. If you're not familiar, LaBate came up. He played a few games for the Vancouver Canucks. He was moved on about his merry way in NHL, but mostly AHL circles. He has returned to the Vancouver Canucks all of these years later. No, it is not the longest ever for a player between games with the Vancouver Canucks because Peter Schaefer, I saw the graphic last night, we mentioned it yesterday, went some 9 years or so between games for the Vancouver Canucks. But Joseph LaBate gets into the game last night, first Canucks game in 8.5 years. He plays 9 minutes and 32 seconds at even strength, or 9 seconds less than Elias Pettersson.
He's right there. I mean, they're almost inseparable.
And wearing Alex Burrow's old number 14. And Shorty mentioned that on the broadcast at DT as well. It had been a while since somebody had worn number 14 for the Vancouver Canucks. So, and he told Ian McIntyre last night, or yesterday before the game, quote, "It's incredible. Honestly, it's hard to put into words. If I think hard about it, it's emotional. Yeah, it's been a journey, but I'm just so happy to be here and help this team. I'll do everything I can." I mean, who doesn't love a story of perseverance like Joseph LaBate?
Yeah. Yeah, we've talked about this with the Jays, a guy like an Ernie Clement that, mired in the minors for a long time and getting his time in the sun. It's not going to be quite as glorious for Joe LaBate here, but you do have an appreciation for guys that have toiled and have seen the world and have used hockey to have themselves an adventure of a lifetime. They will not be retired at the age of 40, feet up for the rest of their life, I wouldn't guess, unless they have invested very well. But they've had themselves a really fun life, I'm sure. Very interesting life.
Well, and folks, here's the thing. Like, he gets drafted by the Canucks in the 4th round and then goes on to play 4 years of college hockey at the University of Wisconsin. You don't typically see drafted players go on to play 4 years and then sign with the team that drafted them.
It's a lot of patience.
He plays 3 full seasons with the Utica Comets. And for our younger audience members, that was the farm team of the Vancouver Canucks back in the day in upstate New York.
Have to be really young not to remember that.
Those 13 well, Blake, those, we're on YouTube now, man. We got 13-year-olds up in here.
Maybe.
He plays those 13 games for the Canucks, 26-27. The last one coming in late March of 2017. And then he's merrily on his way to 3 full seasons with the Belleville Senators. He does not get an NHL sniff. Milwaukee Admirals, the legendary farm team of the Nashville Predators, where they develop a whole lot of players there. Alas, not Joseph LaBate. Then one more year in the AHL with Chicago. Then he goes to the KHL. And not even like one of the higher profile KHL teams.
Down market KHL is not good.
Nur Sultan Barias, Blake.
That sounds Eastern.
Yeah. Yeah. The further you get away from the corridors of power in Moscow and St. Petersburg, typically the...
And I don't mean this as a joke at all. Like, we've heard this from players. Like, they get scared to get on the plane sometimes. Like, the quality of, like, air travel's not great. The paychecks sometimes are a few days late. Like, stuff like that.
Was it Wellwood who told us about the dogs who try and steal your groceries on the way home? Stray dogs.
It's a little different.
You have to fend off the stray dogs in some of these ports because, like, they see you in the grocery store and they go, there's a mark. Let me go see if I can jump up on this guy, tackle his bag of food, and steal some.
Yeah.
So then back in the NHL with Columbus, but mostly Cleveland. He did get into NHL games last season, and now he's back. So, like, awesome story. Stick tap to Joseph LaBate.
Yeah.
To getting back into the NHL and back into a Vancouver Canucks
Perseverance
uniform after all these years. Again, Corrado and his nickname story is coming up. You're going to want to hear this. Black skate jersey schedule has been announced. Although if you click on the link, it will show you 17 games, upcoming games where they'll wear the black skate.
There's 19 coming.
There's 19 coming.
If you read the fine print.
I don't know.
Graphics department.
Why the graphics wouldn't match the words, but nevertheless.
Yep.
Including all 3 games on this next homestand. Saturday in Montreal, Saturday versus Montreal, and of course that's a 4 p.m. start against Le Club. They are getting the Toronto Maple Leafs 4 p.m. treatment. Sunday versus the Edmonton Oilers, and Tuesday in the JT Miller return game. If JT has any designs on being the bad guy, well, the home team will be in black, JT. Who's the bad guy now?
And we'll have to monitor whether or not the threads make it a difference for this team. Sometimes you need to dress
so here's
for
the
success.
Thing. So 19 of the remaining 39 home games are going to be in the black skate, and they've already worn them once. So pretty much half the home calendar now is black skate.
It's a full-on third jersey. Like, it's a legit third jersey. Well, it's not a special edition jersey.
How close are you to returning to it as the primary logo and color scheme if it is that in demand? Is that not saying something to you? Yeah. If you're Aquilini, if you're President Michael Doyle, if you're Jim Rutherford, we are now doing this so much because that's what our fans want, that maybe we should just think about making this permanent because that's what our fans want.
Well, I think,
and I say that as a guy who likes the color scheme and Orca, and I think I'm in the minority, or at least I'm in a smaller minority than others who are absolutely skate.
The skate logo is way more prominent in the last 18 months around the arena, just in nooks and crannies and signage here, signage there. They went to black seats. Like, you could have gone to blue seats. Could have gone to, not gaudy blue, but you could have gone to a blue.
Yeah, the trend now is it's a darker, more muted color for the seats because the empty ones don't show as much. This was one of the many things that they screwed up in Boston with that dreadful arena that
Pittsburgh
they built
last night. The tan seats you could see around the glass.
Well,
were
Boston
very
had yellow
obvious.
when they first started
Yeah.
at the TD.
But you could have gone a navy blue seat or something like that. But they sort of more mimicked the design. They went with black. I do think we are headed in that direction. Minor uptick from 18 last year to 20 this year, but it is still an uptick. Still getting more.
To me, it's the consensus opinion of Canucks fans is they want that color scheme, that logo. that jersey.
Yeah.
Like, remember the All-Star game? They were
No.
going to do an All-Star game this year, and then, lo and behold, we're going to the Olympics. But no. We'll still do an All-Star send-off. We'll give the good people of Long Island and New York an NHL event. We will centralize the Olympic players at UBS Arena in February, and then we'll send them off to Milano Cortina. No, they won't play a game, but there will still be a meet and greet for all the corporate partners and, a fan
I didn't
fest
hear
and
about
all
this,
that.
really?
Well, they've canceled that now, too.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Emily Kaplan reporting here. They are canceling the Olympic
can you imagine being the
send-off.
players? You're already
Well, it
crossing
sounds
time
like
zones
the
and shit,
NHLPA said,
Yes.
excuse me, you're asking our guys. Some of them can just get direct flights to Europe. They don't need to go to New York
Up
and
and
centralize
down
for a meet and greet.
No. That was a silly idea.
And it was almost like the NHL didn't want to just cancel the All-Star game in one fell swoop because they see value in the All-Star game where much of the hockey public doesn't.
When matter transport occurs,
It's a great, if you've got kids and the events in your city and you want to bring them to the Fan Fest, it's fantastic.
when we can just beam the players in and they can, by all means. But as long as it is air travel that we are using,
Right.
No.
Right. Now, it's not a national event anymore. It's a more local, regional event. So the All-Star game and the skills competition, the traditional ones, are returning the following year to UBS and Long Island, February 5th to 7th, 2027. Blake,
Yeah.
get excited.
Yeah. Super excited.
It's popcorn.
Can't wait.
Do we have anything to stick handle here? Can I get into today's menu brought to you by Greta, which is an exceptional spot to watch all the games, home and away, or to pregame or to postgame, because they are just steps, minutes from the stadium and arena. If you need a venue for a team building or a sociable, check out Greta. Might I suggest the Smash Burger? Boy, were they popular at our watch party a week ago Saturday. Plus the arcade, so much fun, air hockey, Pop-A-Shot. Do you ever have you ever gotten into one of those driving consoles?
It's been a long time.
Yeah. There's a lot going on there.
Mm-hmm.
Those arcade games have gotten way
You need
way
to invest
better.
a lot of money into learning how to play the game is the problem, right? Like I remember the ones where you just drove the car around the track and you could spin the wheel and like drift it. That was my favorite.
I did get an occasion when we were there a week ago to play the old NBA Jam game, and I picked the Chicago Bulls, who did not have Michael Jordan. It was Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant.
Oh, that's considerably less exciting.
Yes. I did not know that when I picked the Bulls, but we still mopped the floor with my brother. Anyways, info, book your event, gretabar.com. Greta
He's
50
on
West
fire.
Court. Flaming dunks, Blake. Flaming
He's
dunks.
on fire.
Guys jumping into the rafters, coming down with the hammer,
That was a fun game.
with the two-handed hammer dunk.
See, the NBA got it there. They knew exactly what they were doing there.
I don't like to go down this road often because I don't want to be, a couple of old guys talking about how things were better back in our day. We have that show here in Vancouver. But NBA Live 95, 96, and then the NHL 94 game. The NBA game came on the heels of the NHL game, both from EA Sports, and we're just such an uptick in quality across the board and reality, big realism, that was heady times. Anyways, Greta Bar, 50 West Cordova, let the games begin. Time now for our Bet365 bets of the day. I lost virtually everything yesterday. I had the over. It did not go over. I had an Evander Kane goal. We did not get an Evander Kane goal. I had an Elias Pettersson goal, although I did note Garland was better, longer odds to score than Pettersson. Should have gone there.
I did World Series MVP, so that's the future.
Okay, so you go first then. You're
NBA tips off for the Raptors. It was a pretty eventful night last night, a couple of good games. But I read you this quote off the air. Brandon Ingram says, when he's on, ain't nobody in the league that can stop me. You can tell him that he's wrong, but it doesn't mean that he doesn't try to prove that tonight, which is to say, I think he probably takes a lot of shots.
Yeah.
And it's not a huge number, but it's only 20 points. I think Brandon Ingram, he could do it on 8 of 30 shooting, but I think he gets to 20 points, and I get my plus 110, so I'll take it.
Honestly, we haven't discussed the Raptors much over the last 2 to 3 years because they haven't been worth discussing. I think this could be a more competitive and fun Raptors team. Quickly, Barrett, Ingram, Barnes, Pirtle is a pretty good starting 5 with a team that should
Dick
have
off the bench.
Yeah, with a team that should have
Don't.
And the rookie Colin Murray Boyles.
How do you make any statement that without getting the side eye for Gritty Dick? You can't.
It's their dick off the bench.
It's not fair. It's not fair to him. It's not fair to our viewers.
They should be able to play some run and they should want to run. Like, I want to see this team in transition this year. Like, those are some long guys who can run the lanes and get to the rack. So I'm a little more interested in the Raptors this year than I have been in previous seasons. The rookie who I mentioned, incidentally, Murray Boyles, will not play. He's out, but lottery pick and does a lot of things well. That's 6'7". A little undersized, but does a lot of things well. Much as I don't trust Justin Herbert, I trust Carson Wentz even less. In fact, I don't trust the Minnesota Vikings unless they have good quarterback play. It's a pretty good team, tip to tail, but it's really hard to win in the NFL when your quarterback play is poor. So I will take the Chargers, and I will lay the 3 points tomorrow on Thursday Night Football. And if you are interested in the Chargers, you may want to get to that game sooner rather than later because
can you bet up?
Well, when it gets to 3.5, right, then a field goal doesn't win it for you.
No.
This segment, a presentation of Bet365, and I'm sure they're very proud with this one. Whatever your bet, it's never ordinary at Bet365. It's never ordinary when you have a bench player named Dick.
No.
Download the app, get in on the game, use code NATION. When doing so, must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly. Patrick,
you can pronounce it with a long Y. No, that's not better. Never mind.
Should have mentioned in the menu, Patrick Johnston precedes Frank Corrado, and then we get into Whitecaps, and we get into Lions, and we get into the World Series. You may have heard that is starting in our country in 48 hours' time. PJ is next. Harrison Price from the historic Wall Center, and I'm hungry for some pizza.
And this is always the read that times out imperfectly with me because I am starving right now, and telling you about the fabulous deals of Pizza is torture. You can get a double XL 3-topping pizza for $19.99. Are we even kidding here? That's an 18-inch pizza with 8 huge slices. It's the go-to for game viewing. Don't forget the creamy garlic dip to go alongside it as well. All of this is only at Pizza. Actually Canadian. By Canadian.
I may swing by on the way home, actually.
Sounds delish.
There's one in Kitts on Cornwall, right by my hood.
There you go. Double XL.
It's pizza time.
It's a couple days worth of food. I love buying too much pizza.
Oh, it's the best. When you have leftover pizza, you get to that next day, you go, what am I going to have for lunch? What am I going to have? Old pizza. Leftover pizza.
Yeah, love it.
Here's Patrick Johnston of the Province and Postmedia.
Leftover lasagna, guys, is better.
That's also good.
Oh, yes.
It's also good. Steeps into the noodles.
I've had some of that recently. Yeah. It is the one food that is better microwaved. Like if you
Yes.
have leftover lasagna and you microwave it the next day, somehow it gets better. We've
Well, I mean,
talked
that's-
about poutine. You can't ever microwave poutine. It tastes like really tasty food when it's ready and hot and ready to go. Really terrible when you microwave it.
The
Patrick,
underrated thing to heat stuff up, so fries and pizza, is your air fryer.
So we have gone to air fryer here more frequently than we did before.
You're going to appreciate this, Patrick. Ordering food, and you always order more as your kids get through school, so you
Yes.
have less lunches to make in the morning.
Oh yeah, no, I get it. Oh no.
It's the veteran.
Well, the thing you learn when they're very young is that sometimes you need to think about what kind of snacks does Daddy want to eat later.
There's that too. Always just order more, except for sushi. I made that mistake. 'cause you can't eat sushi later.
Yeah, no, sushi doesn't try. Yeah.
How long are we going to not talk about the Canucks? Should we just keep going here?
It's
'Cause, like,
very
what-
indicative, isn't it? Very indicative.
Oh, God.
What's
See,
there to
how you
talk
get more
about?
shifts.
Elias Pettersson barely played. What's there to
This
talk?
is what I spent. I'm still digging.
Jake
I'm looking-
DeBrusk
trying to
played
look at
even
the shift
less.
chart. Like, how do you do? And there's a lot of, especially in that second period, there's a lot of like just roll them,
Yeah.
and you're like, why is this happening?
Like was it with you a couple of weeks ago or last week where I
Yeah,
said
we talked about the city
Willie-
Willie in the playoffs.
with Willie? Yeah.
Yep.
And like I just think there were times, and you remember Willie used to be so
The clipboard.
fidgety on the bench, and there were times where I just went there and went, maybe his brain just can't handle it. Maybe he just needs to roll 4 lines for the sake of order.
Yeah, yeah.
I sure hope that Adam Foote and this relatively inexperienced staff aren't just doing this because it's the easy way to deploy lines. Like, it's got to be a little more tactical than what we saw last night, no?
Get inside his head. What's he thinking?
Yeah, the thing that I'm trying to get my head around is looking at, for instance, like the shift length. So like Petey only has 4 shifts in the third period, partly because there's 2 power plays. He plays those whole power plays basically, and wasn't in the PK rotation. So there's a 5-minute gap in him being on the ice in the third period. Now, granted, it's already 4-1. And you're playing 4 and 6, and so the thing I would like to know, it's lingering here, and this is a frustration about not being on the road, and I'll be honest about that. Was there they know so much stuff about the players' sort of physiology now, and not just because they've got the catapult tracker chips, I think people originally first came across in soccer, but is everywhere now. And the amount of data they're actually now to pull in the NHL is a lot higher than they used to. And they just know about energy outputs and what these guys are at. Like, they know how much is in the tank. Like, it's like a video game now. And so that's the one thing that is missing from this line of questioning, because it is very odd. He played a lot the previous couple of games, and then all of a sudden he's down to 16 minutes, and a lot of it's because he just wasn't playing at 5-on-5, especially in the third. And granted, there were a couple long shifts in there, and long shifts take longer to recover for, but it's the beginning of the year. You're trying to come back. Like, was there a bigger picture? Of course, again, can't ask the question because I'm not there, but these are the things I'm wondering in the morning, because fundamentally, if you are trying to win, and they did it with Quinn Hughes. Quinn Hughes is playing a ton every night and some long shifts.
Those top 4 defensemen are playing their what's off already.
Yeah. So it's just odd because, like, honestly, like, listen, the story is now being well discussed. Petey is not shooting enough. There's a lot of other good things happening, but he is not shooting enough.
6 attempts
that's
last
not
night.
the
It
whole
was
story there.
okay. It was okay last night.
Yeah, I'm just looking. His average shift length over the course of the season, Patrick, is 51 seconds.
That's
It's,
long.
it's
So that's
fourth
the
on the
other
tee.
thing.
Yeah, it's quite long. It's quite long.
That's it. Like, they're getting these long shifts partly because they're not doing the same thing the power plays they did last year, where they just play the whole 2 minutes. Like, they are, PP2 is actually seeing some time, but in general, Foote seems to be inclined towards longer shifts. Remember how Rick talked about 35 seconds? Like, he was obsessed about it, and that was him. I dug around on it. I couldn't actually figure out, but that was, as far as I could tell, him sort of interpreting the the science, like the sports science data they had available to them, and saying, I really think I need my guys, because if I make my guys go 35 seconds, they're going to go harder. Like there's less coasting, I guess. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of his principle. Now, so it's not the only answer. They're going longer shifts in general now. So there's a difference, but if the idea is to get your guy more on the ice a little more often, it's harder to do that when he's taking long shifts, because those do take longer to recover from. So there's just an overall sort of packaging that is odd. There is no doubt this is something that is standing out about Adam Foote, and like I said, you go look at the shift chart, and especially in the second period where there were not as many penalties, there's a real roll-em element, and
we're slicing. We would have been slicing it really thin if it was a difference of 90 seconds or 2 minutes. But when we're getting up to 4 minutes difference between him and Sherwood, when he's playing the same amount at even strength as Joe LaBate, it's weird. And it's not like this was a 4-0 game after 10 minutes, because then, we're on to Nashville early on in that game, and you're preserving. This was a 1-1 game with 6 minutes left to go in the second period.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, well, and that's
it's a tight game. Yeah, like why aren't you going hard with your guy? Like it's strange. Like Kiefer Sherwood should play a lot, especially when you're missing a bunch of your guys, right? But it just the sort of there's just a lot hanging in the air here that we still don't understand, because it is very, very strange to me the way this is all being set up. I mean, it's just like Pettersson. I don't care about plus minus. It's mostly an overrated stats. But like, guess who the 3+ players were last night? Elias Pettersson, Connor Garland, and Jake DeBrusk, because they were on for the first goal of the game, right?
Right. If he had used him more, that may have come down.
Yeah,
so, maybe,
or not, or the game's different. I don't know. It's just there is a roll-em element here, and it's not. It is a
well. What I don't get about it, Patrick, is like, if we were sitting here digesting this event summary with these ice times on a night when you were perfectly healthy throughout the lineup, you could say, coach made a decision that other guys were going, or there were things he didn't like about Elias's game, and perhaps faceoffs were those things.
Hoglander, Hedel, and Besser were going.
Exactly. But you were without 5 regulars, 4 forwards, and this is what you spit out.
Well, like the face-off thing is the other thing that occurred to me. That, listen, if you see your guys not, he still took 22 face-offs, so it's not like you're trying to get him avoid taking face-offs. He's just losing all of them. And face-off, not every face-off matters as much as another. Power play face-offs matter a lot more than others. Teams do try to diagram up set plays off face-offs, but in the big picture, it's how much are you on the ice, and Elias Pettersson just simply isn't on the ice enough. And that is, one way or another, the coach's choice. So it is certainly something that I think. And like, here's the funny thing:
well, he's brutal in the dog all year.
Friday. We are not going to ask unless IMAC asks him about it today after practice. We are not going to be talking about this until most likely till an hour and a half, 2 hours before Saturday's game against the Habs, because there's no morning skates, an early game. They're not practicing on Friday. They have a practice today. I don't know if they're going to have a morning skate in Nashville. Adam Foote does seem to be a guy who likes morning skates. So, yes, I suppose there will be 2 meaty opportunities for either Murph or IMAC to ask, but that's never been the kind of thing that, IMAC never gets into the nitty-gritty on these kinds of things, and that's not really Dan's job. I mean, it is a frustration of how I have to deal with my job, and people don't want to hear about my problems. But
I'm done hearing about your problems. We gave you 3 chances to whine about your problems. We're moving on from your problems. Yeah. Nobody wants to hear media whine, but Pettersson's 41% in the dot all season long. Hedel was 47. Bluger was 34.5.
First game,
they're getting destroyed in the faceoff. Like, is it possible Adam Foote is so old school? He's like, we're just.
I don't know.
I don't know. We're still figuring.
I mean, ultimately, it just comes down to the roster is not deep enough, not good enough, too, right? I mean,
that's the other.
That's it.
Let's be real. They played a ton of the guys that were in the AHL. Just last season. Some of them are here, I think, on merit, and some of them are here because this is, sometimes you have to dress a lot. Sometimes this is how you're going to dress your lineup, right? Like I had someone say to me, "Well, I can't believe they're up against the cap and they're having to do all this." I'm like, They have 5 injuries. Like, that's not on them. Like, that's them dealing with the problem. And the problem is they don't have enough guys. And, most teams would struggle with this. But the other truth is, and this comes back to, I see not Tyler Benson, Zach Benson. Zach Benson, another brilliant night. And you're just sitting back going, oh, those were some choices. And, Logan Stankoven has that huge contract in Carolina. And those were guys that were sitting there and could have been drafted, and they weren't. And, the Canucks have no center depth to speak of. And here we are.
What did you think of the goaltending last night?
I mean, it's going to happen. Listen, did they test Artie Party enough? Probably not. That comes back to the Pettersson question we've been discussing on. Your first line did play pretty well. You just didn't use them very much. Did Kevin Lankinen give them a chance to win? I mean, you probably one of those goals back, and then it's a 3-1 game. Fundamentally, why did they lose? They scored 1 goal. That's it.
Yeah.
Right.
He's on the list. He's on the list, but he's further down.
But the question becomes, is there a point here soon where Kevin Lankinen would lose coach's confidence? Because we know what that means. That means we're overplaying Demko, right?
I don't think we're there.
Yeah.
Do you think we're anywhere near there, or that's still a ways away? Okay.
All right. Let's just move on. No, I think he's he didn't have a great start last night, but I thought his other 2 starts were pretty good. So
okay. Adam Foote saw the good news is Adam Foote saw Lankinen last year too, right? If it's a brand new coach that didn't have eyes on Lankinen last year, I think Adam Foote knows what Lankinen can do.
And generally, the goalie call still remains with Marco Terenius, right? This is on him, and he's the guy making the calls with that. I suppose if Lankinen starts throwing up some real stinkers, back to back to back, then there's going to be some serious discussions between coach and the goalie coach and the head coach. But I don't think we're at that point. Last night was not a great start, but again, it's hard to win with one.
Very few teams are going to pack it in October and start sending you good players for futures. But are we at the point where it's so desperate for the Canucks that they should pick up the phone and make Conroy on Nazem Kadri or Dubas on Evgeny Malkin? Make one of them think with a Godfather offer because you're so desperate.
Well, I'm not sure what they actually have to give that would really, truly interest the Penguins in Evgeny Malkin.
Wielander, Coots, first-round picks.
Yeah, I don't think they're trading. I've already said the problem, which is that they have so few young setters. I don't think Coots is an untouchable. My impression is that Wielander remains an untouchable, even though they've got all this depth in front of them. I mean, just as a side note, I'm a bit anxious about how Junior Pettersson's playing right now. I don't think he's been especially good since the season started. They've pushed him down to 6th on the rotation, and he's not played great. But anyway, listen, we know they have been looking for a center. They've been open about this for months and months and months. Lecker Mackey would be a guy that that would have some value, but he's now hurt and has been so-so to start the season. So what is the true value there? They just don't have a lot to work with. They've got a couple goalies, but goalies don't bring you anything. There's just not a lot.
No, Patrick, they have a lot to work with.
Okay.
They have, as you mentioned, they have EPD.
Coots,
that was EPD. No. What do you mean you're not going to move Coots? Come on.
If they're not, but I'm just telling you, if that's
he's not untouchable. He's an 18-year-old with the Seattle Thunderbirds. Come on.
Yeah, but not for
this
those two
isn't
guys.
Gavin McKenna.
Not for those two guys.
If they're not going to move them, what do you have to move? That's what I'm saying.
You have Lecker Mackey. You have Nils Höglander. You have EPD. You have Tom Wielander. You have Braden Coots. You have Kirill Kudryavtsev. You have Sawyer Mineo. You have first-round picks and second-round picks. Don't tell me they can't construct a package of futures that is going to be about the price that a Malkin or a Kadri gets traded for. You may have to up the ante at this stage of the game, but they can absolutely put together that package. They've just got to summon the gumption. They've just got to summon we are all in on this. Fair
and all
enough.
prospects are bad. Like that's just don't forget that.
No, they're not bad.
No, they are. Most of them are not going to be anything interesting. Almost every one of those guys you just listed is a guy that's probably
Their phone was
tops out as
burning.
the sixth defenseman and a fourth line winger.
No. Their phone was
Real.
burning up last year with people wanting EPD.
That's nice. He hasn't
You
played
think
very well.
7 poor
He's now a
games has
sixth
destroyed the
defenseman.
vet? Come on.
He's now a
No.
sixth defenseman.
No. They have the assets. They just have to summon we're all in on this season because we want to keep Quinn Hughes. Once they get to that point, suddenly I think you've got the conditions for a trade.
Okay, you bristled or you oohed and awed at the EPD comment from Patrick Johnston. How about the guy at the top of the depth chart? Quinn Hughes.
Yeah.
He's not playing poorly, but he's certainly not a wizard as we know him to be.
I have had a couple of people ask me, "Is everything all right? Like, what's going on there?" And I'm like, he's playing a lot. It turns
he's
out
always done that.
hammering the puck. It's tough to say. It's a tough one to say that I find myself. I mean, I've said this I think before here already that I kind of have, if things go wrong and the season doesn't play out as they hope it will, the fact this season started with a Quinn Hughes, literally the first event of the season was a Quinn Hughes chip out from his own end that became a turnover, and Calgary went the other way. They didn't score, but like it was an immediate, and it was just so like it is so much potential there for a metaphor for the whole year. I think about that a lot. Now, I think Hughes was pretty great last night. It stands out to me, and to go back to the Pettersson question, it does stand out to me how much Hughes still works to find a quick shot from the point, which is a floater shot, right? Like it's not an especially effective shot, but it's a shot where he's trying to make trouble in front, something that can be tipped, and how good he remains at that. And I find myself thinking, Pettersson, we're talking about you need to shoot more. Like you're not the same player as Quinn Hughes, but Quinn Hughes is finding that gap. So find that gap. Like keep pressing, finding that gap. Now, obviously, he needs more ice time to do that, but the rate is low, so he's not shooting enough. He's not thinking shoot enough. But on the Hughes question, yeah, like he has not been the 100% electric self. He's been losing defensive battles, which he doesn't like to happen. He's a guy that prides himself on his defense. He's a guy that prides himself on skating the puck out. So is that a change in how Adam Foote wants him to play? I think that's more than likely that's the answer. It's just that he's leaning on him to the same degree that Rick Tocchet did and Bruce Boudreau did and Travis Green was starting to. But he has been asked to do things in a different way, and they're still sorting that out. That's kind of how I'm thinking things are playing right now.
I've never wanted to see Nils Höglander more in my entire life.
I love the player, but yeah, like I agree. Like you need that industry. You need the guy that's getting in the puck. Like that's the other thing in all this, right? Like the way the lineup has been set up is, to begin with, has not been optimal because they don't have Höglander, and Höglander does change the dynamic of this group. You want to talk about why are there so many AHLers in the lineup? Well, it's also because their third best seek and destroy missile winger after Garland and Sherwood, Nils Höglander, is not healthy and is not going to be playing at least for another month, I think, right?
Or I have one other question for him, but it's Caps related.
It's Caps related.
Well, because I saw his smiling face and gleaming dome at the round table with Axel Schuster.
Oh, yeah. By all
Was there
means.
video?
Just some behind the scenes pics.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was a still photo of everybody around. The
Yes.
round
Okay.
table
Yes.
with-
Oh, yeah.
with
The one
Axel
from
Schuster.
behind. Yes.
Yes. What was your takeaway there? Because we are getting to brass tacks on what has been just an incredible season on the pitch, but needless to say, there's this massive looming, we need a partner, we need an investor, or we have to sell the team going on off the pitch. And I understand Axel spoke to some of that in his roundtable. What was your takeaway?
Yeah. I mean, this is a team that is obviously selling lots of tickets, right? Like there is a clear level of support, very strong support, right? There's a frustration with how their lease is set up that they don't make any money despite all that.
We're going to get into the food and bev component later in the show, but they're a top 10 attended team and they're right at the bottom in food and
the
bev
claim
revenue.
Is that they basically make the lease in the league.
So
and listen, like I talked to Chris May, who's the GM of the stadium for Pavco a month ago, and I wrote a column out of it. And he acknowledged, he said, listen, like these guys are an important tenant. I do recognize the reality is that things would be easier for them if they had their own stadium, but here they are. And as long as they are here, they are an important tenant to us. Acknowledge that they would have to give on food and bev to a degree. Now, whether they give on a degree that will make the Caps say, yes, we're staying and never going anywhere else, I don't think so, but I don't know.
Well, that's a small give, though, because here's the thing. It's not a give that's going to make like banner headline news for the public. So if you are worried about what the taxpayer is going to say about a taxpayer-owned and operated stadium on food and bev revenues, first of all, like it's just not going to come on the radar of a lot of people or be a big give. Secondly, something that would come on the radar and be a big give is if there's any kind of talk about the Caps leaving BC Place or leaving town, in which case you were missing the full revenue component of booking 17 home dates plus preseason plus cups and stuff like that, which would, I suspect, affect the bottom line in a significant way.
Well, and easier to sell the team when they're making money, right? So people will be blaming them, I think, as much as anybody.
The idea of a move is, I think it's extremely minimal. And he spoke to, I said, listen, he calls it option Z. And he said, yes, absolutely, people have called, but we have not talked to these people. Like, it's just not a thing we want to do. The fact that they are getting 26,000 people in that building tells you that this is a business that should work.
Yes, MLS would be silly to turn their back on this market.
MLS does not like the stadium, but they like the city. And listen, helping the Whitecaps get Thomas Muller, right? Like that's the other thing to remember in all this is that this is partly a league thing, is they wanted him to be here. And the success Muller is having, and somebody else mentioned this to me a while back, but the success that Muller is having surely is going to have an impact on guys he knows, right? You think about some of the players he has played with, and that's not just they're going to be interested in MLS. They will be interested in coming to Vancouver because the sort of the mentality, the atmosphere, the environment he's loving it here. He's very pleased with what he's found. Now, obviously, he's only been here for a couple months, but on first sort of blush, he's quite happy. So there's a lot of things in the Whitecaps' favor. One of the things that is not in their favor is that, there's the revenue problem. It's a huge issue. So, in many ways, the buzz that a playoff run will bring, then they hope to get a long one. Obviously, losing on Saturday is greatly disappointing because the idea of hosting every single playoff games, including possibly the MLS Cup, like being able to actually waive that as opposed to being, maybe it'll shake out now. That would be a big deal. And there's a lot of buzz. Listen, they're opening the upstairs. Like one of the questions that we discussed with him, what does it take? And he said, well, we have to be sold out by Wednesday, or lower bowl has to be sold by Wednesday. And
they've already announced.
We heard yesterday. They said yesterday. It's going that well. We're gonna do it.
Make no mistake. This is an exceptional soccer market.
Yes,
it's such an exceptional soccer market that it actually has soccer history of commercial success going back nearly a half century, which very few markets in MLS or in America, and hell, none in Canada, can say. Yeah. So,
I'll just say this: the positioning too, the way they position themselves in this market, I think has been very smart, right? Like they've spent a couple of years of basically not raising season tickets. They aren't going up very much again next year because they recognize, and this is something that we asked Axel. I said, what are you most proud of? And he said, well, I don't like to say that I'm proud of, but I am pleased, that when he arrived, we must remember, and he references, things were really bad. Like people were very frustrated with the Caps. You know, the women's scandal was very much happening. There was a lot of frustrations with previous management, and they were gone. And that's part of the reason why Axel and originally Mark Panis were brought in. And Axel says he is very pleased to see that the sort of the growth in sort of awareness. You know, he'll go on runner, he runs around Seawall, he says, and he'll see people actually in Whitecap stuff. And that was not the case when he arrived. And so the way that the sort of the awareness and value that people place on them is there. They see it and they want it, but they know they can grow more and they can be even bigger than they are. And you're right, Matt, like there's a huge history. I mean, there's a reason why the Whitecaps were so popular 45 years ago. And a lot of that standard stuff remains, and that's because you can play soccer here all year round. There are zillions and zillions of soccer players here. They've always been the case, and obviously we are one of the most diverse fan bases in North America, and this is the most diverse game in the world. I mean, it's the world's game, right? But like the fact that literally everybody plays to this team's favor because everybody's here.
And so, FIFA's holding 7 games here next year, which is more than a lot of other markets. No, Schuster has done an exceptional job. I hope they're able to keep him because his contract's up at the end of December, and I hope they get something that works a little better for them at BC Place to attract
we got
this
him
investor for Greg.
We got him
and
to
Jeff.
acknowledge, by the way, that yes, he did have a call. I believe it was Augsburg gave him a call this year, but he did not interview, is what he made clear.
Okay. Well, we're happy to interview you. Thank you for this. Until next week.
Take care, guys.
Harrison Price from the Historic Wall Center.
And this segment brought to you by your Pacific Toyota dealers and the Toyota Prius plug-in hybrid. Plug-in is the key word here because
but just regular charger.
You want to be a part of the electric revolution. I know you do. But you're afraid because you're like, but we have road trips. Okay, it's a hybrid. You can go wherever the heck you want. And you don't need your own charging station at home. Your standard plug-in, overnight charge. There's also 2,000 public charging stations in BC. You're going to be okay. And you can go wherever you want in style with performance. Go take one for a test drive. You're falling in love, I guarantee. You can lease one right now from $99 weekly at 3.49% APR for 64 months with $3,600 down, and that includes a $3,000 discount. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Pacific Toyota dealer today.
We are joined now by former Vancouver Canuck and TSN hockey analyst Frank Corrado. He is also a member of the same Vancouver Canucks draft class in 2011 as current Canucks forward Joseph LaBate. Hi, Frank.
What's going on, boys?
You guys making a comeback
shop today?
Are you making a comeback with Joe? Come on,
dude. I was at the Ottawa game last night doing the panel, and where the set is, it's pretty low to the ice. Like usually, I'm way up in the booth, but I was low to the ice, and I was sitting there with Paul McLean because we were doing the panel together, and we're watching it, and we're like, have you heard the rattle once yet? And he's like, nope. And we're like 12 minutes into the game. And this is pretty consistent, like throughout the whole league now. But I'm like, when we were in the league, I sound like a dinosaur. When we were in the league, like within the first 5 minutes, glass is rattling like 8 times.
Yeah.
You know, get on the ice, bang, something's got to hit the glass on a hit. It's crazy. So I'll tell you this. I think I need 16 weeks. I think if you give me 16 weeks,
you're coming back.
I don't know how long I could play for. Like my hip will go, my knee will crap out on me.
Yeah.
But I think I could get up to speed in 16 weeks.
Okay. How would you prep for that, do you think? Like where are you getting your reps? A junior team? Do you go?
Yeah, I'll go
Woodbridge.
Skate with the Steelheads, Brampton Steelheads.
There you go.
Yeah, he's gonna. Yeah, I mean,
try and train with maybe I'll train with Gary. Go see Gary, and then
Roberts.
skate with the Steelheads.
There you
The
go.
NHL's not
terrible
that tough a league. It's not that tough a league.
Then just recreational rinks in Woodbridge produces all those NHL players.
I'm obviously joking. I hope no one takes that seriously.
No.
It's the best league
But-
in the world. It's very difficult to get there, but
So we do want to talk shop, quote unquote. What can you tell us about LaBate, your former Utica Comet teammate?
yeah, like when I say shop, it's because that's his that's his nickname. But he got that nickname not as a member of the Utica Comets, as a member of the Belleville Senators, where we all together. And I don't know why, but like because his name was LaBate, and this, for some reason the coach Troy Mann was like bait shop, like like if you're going fishing, you go to a bait shop. So then he just became shop, and it's like the shop. You're joking around before the game. Is the shop open for business today? Right? Like, is he going to run someone over? Is he going to fight? Like the shop's open tonight, boys. Like the bait shop. Who wants to go to the shop? So he's a great guy. I'm so happy for him. He's been such a hardworking journeyman. Like, had to play on AHL deals after playing in the NHL, goes to the KHL, comes back. It's not an easy thing to do, but the shop's open. Shop is back open.
I like that nickname better than Labby, certainly.
That is a truly great nickname because it is not just throwing a Y or an EY on somebody's last name or an abridged version.
LaBater would not be good
exactly. No, that is quality nicknaming from Troy Mann and the Belleville Senators.
Yeah,
well done.
Bait shop. And it just leads to so many great things before the game. Like, you get the boys going, like you walk around, you go to pick up some clear tape from the front of the room, and you look at, let's go, boys, shop's open for business tonight.
That's right.
Get the boys fired up that way. It's the best.
So many quips.
Was he a tough guy back in the day? Like, the penalty minutes aren't obscene, but they get sort of larger the longer his career went on in the AHL.
He's what was going to work for him and how he was going to sustain it, right? Like big, strong guy. And part of that is like, well, other guys are going to challenge you if that's what you look like out there. And if you're going to play hard and hit and run guys over, you have to be able to answer. And he does all that. Like he did all that. That's the reason why he's still hanging around. And, going back to what I just talked about with you, where, sitting watching Sens Oilers last night, 15 rows up, you don't hear the glass bang one time. Like, coach wouldn't mind having a guy that can do that, and it's like comfortable for him, and he's just willing to be a little bit of a temperature changer, if you want to call it that. So he's got some purpose, and he's a strong dude. He's fought some guys where you're like, that's pretty good work there. And he plays pretty mean.
What if we told you
exactly what his role is, and he figured it out?
What if we told you that last night Joseph LaBate played 9 fewer seconds than Elias Pettersson at even strength? Elias Pettersson,
Suddenly
the centerman.
This conversation has taken a turn.
What if I told you that?
Tell you what, the shop's open for business, but it shouldn't be open for that much business, right? And that's not even on shop. Like that's on the coach to play EP more. And I get it. He's EP40 has his issues, right? I thought it was really great, the shot blocks at the end of the game against Washington. I thought that was a really nice sequence for Pettersson. But in a lineup where you're down a centerman, you don't have a ton of skill down the middle. This is kind of your guy. Like, you're almost at the point you got to live and die by him. You got to play him more than what he played at 5-on-5 last night. It was a weird night for deployment. Like, did anyone ask him? Like, there's not a lot of medium on the road. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if he really got asked. Like, it can't be as bad as the time in Wilkes-Barre completely forgot about a line until after the game and in Springfield. Like, it's definitely not that. There's got to be a reason why, but it's just weird. It's weird that you're down a centerman, and Pettersson, he dug in and gave you a good effort against Washington with those shot blocks. Like you got to try and get him in a little more than what he did at 5-on-5 last night.
Can you imagine he's on the bench, his number gets called again, and Shop's like, who, me again? Okay.
Now,
If coach is sanctioning this, I'll get out there again.
so there's ice time, and there's also kind of ice time, Frank, in that he's getting 49% zone starts right now in the offensive zone. And it's Elias Pettersson. He is their number one center. He is the only guy lining up last night that is a true certified National Hockey League centerman. Now, he got some more faceoffs last night, but on the season, 49% zone starts, if just for people to recollect, back in the day. Henrik Sedin in 2010-2011, 77% offensive zone starts. And you think, well, he had Ryan Kessler to back him up. Okay, Kessler was 52% almost. Now, they had a lot more offensive zone faceoffs because they were a good team. But still.
And Alain Vigneault is credited with really juicing that statistic. Like it had been a thing beforehand, but Alain and that Canucks staff leaned into it as much or more than any staff.
And as I said off the top, Frank, I'm disappointed that Elias Pettersson can't be the superstar that overcomes that is able to start only 49% and still be amazing. But that is the case. That's where we're at right now, and he can't. Is it time to prop up Elias just a little bit more?
So the other piece of context I think you need with that, Blake, is like right away I'm like, well, how much are they actually playing in the offensive zone? Because maybe they're just not there, right? Okay, NHL Edge tells me they're spending 40.8% of the time in the offensive zone. The NHL average one, they're right there. Like they're spending 42.5% of their time in the defensive zone. It's not any different than any other team. So yeah, like I'm two ways on this. Okay. I think there is, he should be in the majority on offensive zone. No doubt about it. But there also is an onus on a player like that to be able to kind of do a little bit of that grunt work and win a defensive zone face off. And, maybe sometimes the nature of the game is he's getting stuck on icings. Like it's just, sometimes the chips will fall as they may, but I do think, a reasonable 65-35, something like that, like 60-40 even. Yeah, I think we're at the point where Pettersson needs all the offensive help he can get. Like we've talked about that. So the more offensive zone time, but at the same time, so you're trusting Nils Oman and Max Sasson, and it's there's not great solutions in the defensive zone right now. It's not a perfect scenario for them.
Although Ratu's the best face-off guy, so put him on the defensive zone draws exclusively, almost.
Yeah.
Well, you just said like the Pettersson's the only real NHL bona fide center. Like Ratu's trying his best.
It's a risk.
He's put in a position he shouldn't be in either.
That's right.
So, okay, so then what's at play here, gentlemen? Like, is this a rookie NHL head coach and a relatively inexperienced staff of assistants that just wants to make it easy and sort of roll four lines or be closer to a roll four lines team? Or is Adam Foote leaning into the defensive capabilities of Elias Pettersson and saying, I just don't trust these other lines to take defensive zone draws and to be out there when we're nursing a lead? Like, what could possibly be the logical underpinnings behind the usage of Elias?
Well, I would think they're fairly smart. Like they wouldn't be like, listen, at the end of the day, they wouldn't be coaching at that level if they didn't have a level of intelligence that, understanding how to coach and how to play. I would think it's more, well, Pettersson is the guy that I trust more. And I'm trying to go with the guy that I trust more in these situations, but I don't know. Like Ratu Ratu should be a guy that plays a way that you could trust him. Like because he's not a speed burner. You know, he's not overly elusive. Like I think the identity for him is going to be at his best is like a third line center who's responsive. So maybe you can groom him into that on the fly, which is clearly not an easy thing to do at the NHL level, but he would have had some seasoning in the AHL. I think it's more just being cautious more than anything. It's not It's not that they don't know how to manage a bench or run a bench. That's there's so much analytics and numbers now that tell you how to basically how to do things. Not that it's an autopilot, but they have all the resources available to them. There's trust, man. Trust is the one thing that, like, there's no analytic for, there is an analytic for trust. It's just which one you're going to use. And it's more of a gut feeling. And I think there's a lack of trust with the other guys to say that, you're going to take on these harder assignments.
Filipino was getting that love before he left. And all this is happening because of Hedl, Frank. Do you support snap volatile reactions to this from management within the next couple of weeks here to replace Filipino? Do you just see how much you can ride it out? And the first glimpse of that was not very good last night. But, do you see what 5 games without Hedl looks like to see how frantic you need to be about this situation?
They would have been trying to do something well before the Hedl injury, right? Like, that was, I don't want to say that was a ticking time bomb, but unfortunately, like, that's the worst possible scenario for Hedl. Hit, it's Tom Wilson, it's hard, like, and you're out. And they would have been trying to address this for a long time. And let's just say, for sake, there was a centerman available. Let's just say it's in Calgary, right? And it's Nazem Kadri. But let's just throw it, like, hypothetical. Why is Calgary going to throw you a lifeline on October 22nd unless you're willing to pay just an exorbitant amount for him because you think, he's the answer and he's going to help you and you're pushing your chips in when, I don't know, 20 games from now, we get closer to the trade deadline, the price for a guy like that is just going to go up so much. So you're going to, you're going to try and make a trade like that now for a guy like that, like really bona fide. You're paying, well above market value.
Yep.
And you also got to weigh, like, okay, now I got him. He's got some term. Like, are his best days still ahead of him or behind him? Like, you're kind of weighing all these things. I think for right now, you got who you got. It's not a perfect scenario, and it wasn't to begin with. But it's been accentuated now with the Hedl injury. Unless they're really willing to do something that's outlandish, which could change things, but you're going to have to twist someone's arm to do that.
All right, Frank, we're out of time. The shop is closed, bro.
Shop's closed, man. What are you going to do? Shop will be open for business, though. You watch. We'll be running around.
We'll see if the shop's open tomorrow in Nashville. Besser should be back. I sure hope. But that's amazing. Great story.
Brampton's got ice time this afternoon, by the way. I expect to see you out there.
Exactly. That's right. After
Such
school.
A great nickname.
It is. It's brilliant. Yeah, be well. Concussion Price from the historic Wall Center in the Pacific Toyota Dealer Studio, built by Arbor Lee. Big game downtown. There is a huge game downtown on Sunday. Make it more than just a game. Make it a memory. Stay steps from all the action here at the Sheraton Vancouver Wall Center with an exclusive Concussion Price rate. Call 604-331-1000. Mention us. Some blackout dates supply subject to availability, so get on that. The Whitecaps, we wondered about it yesterday and can now confirm Vancouver Whitecaps FC have opened limited seating in the upper bowl due to high demand for Sunday's first playoff game against FC Dallas. They announced the move via Thomas Muller on social media.
That's one way to do it.
Here's the roundtable.
Our journey to the MLS Cup starts now. We need your support to bring the energy and pack BC Place this weekend. So I'm very excited to announce that we are opening the upper bowl. See you on Sunday right here. It's time to own the summit. Let's go, Caps.
Pretty good backdrop. It'd be nice. I mean, they're not opening the whole thing unless the people just crush the box office.
They've done 30,000 for the last couple of playoff games.
Yeah. So
they need more than the 26, nearly 27,000 that they can figure in the lower bowl.
Hey, the Thomas Muller factor, the return of a couple other injured players, perhaps, I think there's a good chance to get to 35 or something like that.
Wow. That'd be a very big number
for
them.
The downside of this setup, of course, though, is there very well could be a game 3 in this series.
Correct.
So it's not do or die. You're not like, oh, this is our one chance.
Right.
I think
whereas in previous years they've hosted game 2 of this best of 3, knowing this is the only home game,
potentially the only one
series.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also think the 4:30 start helps on Sunday. I would be less inclined to see ticket buying big if it was like a 7 or a 7:30. But 4:30 is very civilized. You can get
Island
the children.
folk,
yeah. You can get the children back home and fed and to bed and in good time on a school night, as you mentioned. Island folk. Interior folks. So it's a 4:30 start Sunday, game 1. Game 2 would go November 1st at 6:30 in Dallas. And if necessary, game 3 is back here at BC Place November 7th. We don't have a start time announced for that game yet. Caps CEO Axel Schuster held a media roundtable, and it's clear the Caps are now going public to exert pressure on BC Place and Pavco on next year's lease, with their current deal up for renewal as of December. Schuster says the Caps are a top 10 club in MLS in terms of attendance, but they are last in the league in net food and beverage revenue because of the lease arrangement with Pavco. He said a Canadian club with similar attendance is making 10 times the food and beverage revenue in its facility. I mean, that's got to be TFC, right?
because Montreal owns its facility. So.
Yeah, Schuster said the club will be negotiating with Mueller on the 2026 designated player option. They hold on the player. That's got to be done by November 26th. Schuster denied that Mueller taking an equity stake has ever been discussed, although that's an interesting problem solve on both sides.
Yeah.
I mean, if Mueller is okay with not taking the cash in hand, but owning something, a piece of something that's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, that's...
But the sheer numbers are still not there for him to own any significant piece, and they want relief. So
yeah, they need somebody with cash.
They need somebody with more cash than that.
Yeah.
But it's a possible solve, and all this comes...
Because you can do that in MLS now with the Messi rule. I don't know, can you even do that? You wouldn't be able to do that in other leagues, but in MLS, with they moved heaven and earth for Messi.
And for Beckham, too, right? It happened with Beckham.
Schuster's own contract, incidentally, expires in December, and there have been rumors that a German side, FC Augsburg, is interested.
Well, that was last spring, so I think they filled that since then. But yeah, I mean, if he has more, if they win MLS Cup, all of a sudden Axel Schuster's
star is rising.
Yeah.
I mean, it should rise anyways. I mean, this was a hell of a gamble he made to go to Jesper Sorensen, and it has turned out beautiful.
Well, here's the thing, Matt.
They have found players and have gotten contributions from players from a broad spectrum.
They're also not an expensive payroll.
No.
And they're young. All this is
That's
repeatable.
Right.
They should be good next year, too.
Yep.
The other thing, tomorrow, kind of apropos nothing, I think it's on Instagram, Foo Fighters posted a picture of the band members on Whitecaps jerseys in the Whitecaps dressing room, promising an announcement October 23rd. So that's tomorrow. So whatever that means, I don't even know what to hazard.
Are the Foos playing at the game Sunday?
Honestly, I have no idea. I have not been able to get a word out of the Whitecaps on it. So it was just very... I mean, they put Whitecaps chairs like they were. It wasn't like using it as a prop. It was very Whitecappy, the whole picture. So it's something to do with the Whitecaps.
Are they going to begin their world tour here in BC? This is a popular spot to begin or end world tours.
But it's not the Whitecaps stadium per se. They don't, as we just talked about.
They're They're one of the primary tenants.
Yeah.
I mean, they would,
I guess. Anyway, we'll see. Find out tomorrow.
And they're a little more international than the Lions, of course.
Yeah, I guess.
Wildcard night in MLS tonight. Portland, Real Salt Lake in the West. Orlando, Chicago in the East. Portland, Real Salt Lake winner plays San Diego. Could have been the Caps. Mm-hmm. And lastly, congrats to our friend Harjo Hall of the Daily Hive, named the best MLS West beat writer for the Western Conference in a vote by fans. We concur. She does an absolutely splendid job. BC Lions have released the names of their nominees for the CFL Player Awards with Nathan Rourke, the quarterback. You may have heard of him. Did I send you that, Mike? He takes the MOP and the Most Outstanding Canadian honors. Defensive back Robert Carter Jr., a candidate for Most Outstanding Rookie. Metchie Betts for Most Outstanding Defensive Lineman. Darrell Broxton is their top offensive lineman. And for a third successive year, Whitey, Sean White, the kicker from White Rock, is the nominee for Most Outstanding Special Teams Player. He leads the Canadian Football League with a 94.8% accuracy rate on field goals. But dadgummit, he's missed 2 converts this year.
He, after a game in which he factored almost not at all on the weekend versus the Elks, as soon as the final whistle goes and I'm looking for Nathan Rourke to do the post-game interview, Whitey runs over expectantly and sarcastically.
Where do you need me, Mike?
Exactly. Where are we doing this? I'm like, yeah, not today.
It's our boy. Rourke also named CFL Player of the Week. Defensive end Levi Bell named to the Week 20 honor roll for their efforts in that win over Edmonton. Lions in a Regina Saturday. Defensive tackle Jonah Tavai did not practice yesterday. Slot back Justin McInnes was limited. The Saskatchewan Roughriders rested 6 offensive starters last week versus Winnipeg. Now, I checked in with my friend Jamie Nye, who runs the Green Zone radio program there in Regina. He said it looks like quarterback Trevor Harris and running back A.J. Ouellette are going to play some this week. He thinks maybe another rotational game like versus Winnipeg, but with more of the starters on offense at the beginning of the game. Trevor Harris took all the reps at quarterback yesterday. We had talked about that last week, that Corey Mason, the Riders, were in this position of, okay, you want to make sure that all your best players are healthy for the West Final in a few weeks, but how soft do you play it against your main rival, Winnipeg, right?
Yeah.
Like, that was a consideration. And now, another rival and perhaps the team that is the biggest threat in the West right now in the BC Lions, having won 5 straight. We'll see what comes of that. We are slightly more than 48 hours away from Game 1 of the World Series from Toronto. That's just such a odd sentence to utter. There is still a surreal element to all of this.
And also, given how the Dodgers are playing, forcing the Dodgers to do the first bit of travel and fly cross-continent.
Jays and Dodgers, the latter has named its starting pitchers for Game 1 and Game 2 after sweeping Milwaukee in the NLCS. They've had the luxury. They've had nothing else to do.
Yeah.
It will be Blake Snell and then the Japanese Yamamoto. Snell on the historic 6-start run for any pitcher, regular or postseason. Yamamoto with that absolute hang-it-in-the-Louvre gem in the NLCS. That's about as good as it gets in Major League Baseball these days. Out of the chute, 1-2. Jays have not officially named their starters. We have a pretty good guess. It's going to be the rookie and former Vancouver Canadian Trey Savage in Game 1 after Kevin Gausman pitched an inning of relief in Game 7 of the ALCS.
I'll trust the analysts on this, but for those of you that are a little daunted by that starting rotation of the Dodgers, and you should be daunted.
Oh, yes.
The bullpen is not great. So if you can and with these Jays bats, on those good days for the Jays bats, if they can tag the starter a little bit and at the very least grind up the pitch count, Matt, and we know that the Jays batters are so good at getting the pitch counts up.
Yeah.
If you can get the pitch count up and get to the bullpen, you got a better shot there.
Yeah.
And they're a comeback team. So
I'm not sure I want to see Sasaki much. That's the other. They have 3 Japanese stars, the Dodgers. But if you can get to Blake Treinen, we want to see Blake Treinen.
There's 2 Blakes on the team. Wow. It's a good team.
Yeah, there are a lot of Blakes.
Blakes per 60.
Blakes per 60 is large. Where are we? Oh, yeah. So here you go. Like Snell versus Savage, likely Yamamoto versus Gausman in Game 2. Game 3. Mike, do we have the graphic? Did I send you the graphic? I'm sorry. I may have forgotten the graphic. Tyler Glasnow versus Shane Bieber in Game 3. How about Game 4? Ohtani, Scherzer potentially.
I honestly,
I mean, that's
I'm not
That's
worried by
amazing.
Scherzer at all. His
After
compete,
what you saw,
no, exactly.
Just too much compete.
There's too much compete there.
Yeah.
I think he's going to battle. Like I almost want a blood transfusion out of Scherzer and into Bieber. I'm not saying Bieber's not trying. I'm just saying I need Bieber to elevate just a smidge. You know?
For sure. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the breaking ball wasn't really working.
No.
Like he actually got out of there without having a good breaking ball. Like he hung a breaking ball, was the second or third pitch of the game to Julio Rodriguez, and it was hit for a double. And like from that moment on, you could tell like, okay, it's not the grade A stuff there.
No,
it's something less. Oh. And then this from Optastats at Rogers Center. The Blue Jays have hit a game-winning 3-run home run or more in the 7th inning or later to eliminate an opponent in all 4 rounds.
In their history, yeah.
In their history. Of course, Joe Carter's touch 'em all to win the World Series in 93. The bat flip home run from Jose Bautista in 2015 of the ALDS against Texas. The walk the parrot home run in 2016 from Eddie Encarnacion against Baltimore in the wild card game. And now George Springer in the league championship series. As Optastat notes, there is no other team that has more than one such home run at home in their history. So Blue Jays fans are, if you go far back enough, are truly spoiled in that you have seen 4 of these home runs in your home park, going crazy.
True
in the
drama.
7th inning or later.
True
3+ home, 3-run or grand slams.
Yeah.
And yet, here's the thing, Blake. And John Shannon said it to us yesterday when he said Springer the second biggest home run in club history. I would still say the Roberto Alomar home run in Oakland at the Coliseum off Dennis Eckersley is the number 2 home run in club history in my books.
What was the situation for that one?
92 ALCS,
Yeah.
Game 4. Jays lead 2-1 in the series. They're down 6-4, top of the 9th. Alomar takes Dennis Eckersley, Hall of Fame pitcher and the premier closer of that era.
It was so scary.
Oakland was a recent World Series champion with that terrifying lineup, the Bash brothers, Canseco, McGuire, the Hendersons,
And it was a
Ricky
tying
and
shot
Dave.
or was it a 3-run shot?
It was the tying shot. They won the game in extras.
Yeah, the circumstances aren't as good. Tying shot. Didn't win the game.
No, but Blake,
And you're up in the series.
that's against a recent
I
World
hear you.
Series champion.
I
And
hear you, but
I'm sorry, the 2015 Texas Rangers with Sam Dyson on the mound. The 2016 wildcard Baltimore Orioles with Ubaldo Jimenez on the mound. And with all due respect, Edward Bizardo and the 25 Mariners, they're not in the same league as the Oakland A's in 92, man.
DC Comics supervillain Bizardo. Doesn't it sound like that?
Yeah. I mean, let alone Eckersley. None of those. That home run gave the Blue Jays and their fans belief they could win. They had lost 3 World Series up to that point. They had looked no match for the A's in the 88 championship series. If you remember, Ricky Henderson basically won that thing single-handedly.
Dave Stewart and Dennis Eckersley were terrifying back then.
Yes. And it is official. Sportsnet will have its own broadcast. Dan Shulman, Buck Martinez, Hazel May, and the studio shows, pre and post. This coming off the most watched Jays game in Sportsnet history, with more than 6 million tuning in for the ALCS Game 7 Monday. Only Game 7 of the 2024 Stanley Cup Final between the Panthers and Oilers has drawn a larger audience in Sportsnet history. That was 7.5
Why did I hear 11 million? What was the 11 million? Unique viewers?
That was the, you know how they do with the audience that stayed with the game and then watched some moments of the game.
Total cume
Yeah.
was 11 million, which is pretty unbelievable. So
Yeah.
if you
But
wonder,
6 million's an enormous number too.
Yeah.
Leafs-Panthers Game 7 this year did 4 million. So it outdid a Leafs Game 7.
that's pretty crazy.
That's a really big number. Meanwhile, in Seattle, the Mariners are on to plotting the offseason where they have much work to do. Josh Naylor and Eugenio Suarez, of course, the big trade deadline additions, they are both unrestricted free agents. Jorge Polanco has an $8 million player option. I suspect he will decline that coming off a strong season. He's poised for a multi-year deal.
He was nowhere in the playoffs.
Well, he was great early in the playoffs, and then later in the ALCS, he wasn't there, but he was awesome in the first few games.
Naylor was amazing.
Closer Andres Munoz, it's a $7 million club option. Like, rich teams would not bat an eyelash and pick that up, but we'll see about the M's. They are payroll conscious, anticipating about $140 million payroll there. I suspect, everyone suspects they're more interested in keeping Naylor, the Canadian, who was better since the trade, but also the bigger need at first base. Suarez, a little more expendable. Ben Williamson played third base a lot this year and was a terrific fielder. And then their top prospect, Colt Emerson, and we've seen him at the NAD as part of the Everett team over the years. He plays more shortstop now. People suspect he's more a third baseman in the majors. So I think they have that position filled in time, whereas first base, Naylor would be such an amazing fit. I mean, all those stolen bases, he loves hitting there.
Yeah, Naylor's amazing.
And he brought some
He was
vibe.
their best player in the elimination game.
He was vibes, baby.
But defensive, too. He made a couple big snags at first base in Game 7. Big hit.
You know, plus, he's just so rotund that lay people like myself watch him and go, wow, he represents us.
But he's more mobile. He's not Kirk. He's a little more mobile than that. He still steals bases. 19 stolen bases.
Yeah, he steals a lot of bases. He's a terrific base runner. And he is rotund.
Yeah. But again, he's like...
My mother has, tuned in because she's not watching baseball. She couldn't believe the size of Naylor and Kirk. She's like, they're athletes? I'm like, yes. It's baseball, though.
Straight out of RBI baseball.
Yeah, it's the old John Kruk line. Ma'am, I'm not an athlete. I'm a baseball player.
It's a game.
Results of the Redwoods golf course poll question from Tuesday. What should the Canucks do given this injury situation? Overpay for a center or ride it out, people said.
Overpay.
No, they said ride it out.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
My dogs, you don't overpay ever, all caps, exclamation point. You can win and lose trades, but you never intentionally overpay. That's not how you win. Adam says if they weren't able to fix their 2C situation in the offseason, they sure as hell aren't going to be able to do that now, overpaying or otherwise. And Meet Your Makar, good handle, needs to be addressed sooner or later. If the right fit comes up, you act. Errors and omissions from yesterday's program and beyond. It was never 7-2 in the football game Friday.
Never 3-2.
Oh, sorry, 3-2. Yeah. It was 7-2.
Yeah.
We had joked about how low scoring it was with the Canucks outscored the Lions. Yeah. It was all in jest. Yerke took it literally. So never 3-2.
No.
It was 2-0 and it was 7-2.
There was one other one from him, too. Oh, here it is. Downtown Vancouver is not an island. I mentioned Granville Island.
Granville Island
is
an island.
They dredged that to make it an island. The downtown is a very skinny peninsula. Yeah.
Peninsula. Yeah.
But, you're not going to name the PWHL team the Vancouver Peninsulas.
No. I didn't think Islanders was a possibility either. You play in the lower mainland.
They by the way, they said there just wasn't enough time for them to get the nickname. We have to order the jerseys this far ahead. Like, this is honestly what they're saying. I can't believe that.
I don't believe that either.
No. Like, it's modern day.
It's fine to come out and say we're slow rolling the team name and logo.
Yeah.
Just say that.
There's not enough time. We have to order what? No, stop it.
No.
Not anymore.
Irf got a rink white hat done the other day in like 48 hours. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Appreciate you spending some time connecting with the program. Please do subscribe, costing you nothing, to all our assorted channels, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcast. Follow on social. That's X, Insta, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Blue Sky. Live on many of those platforms, noon Pacific time. When we get those 4 p.m. starts out east, we will go earlier like yesterday. But otherwise, noon Pacific time. And, of course, please do support the community sponsors you hear us talking about and keep it local.